TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Conflict is natural in life. It's part of life.
Yes.
But we must always learn to see our interests in the matter at hand. The whole idea of mediation is to keep an eye on relationships.
Yes.
These relationships are the resources that help us advance.
True.
Without these relationships, many times we get stuck.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to our today's conversation, our today's show, Unveiled. What a great honor and privilege to be here coming to your screens this great evening. My name is Ireri. I'll be the host for the day. We have a wonderful session that we have prepared for you, believing that this session will transform most of you as you listen and watch, because we have a very needy topic that we felt is important for us to handle and to be able to bring it to your homes, so that we can make a wholesome family, especially for men in the place of leadership and other people listening. This is a great show that shall be a blessing to you. I look forward for this conversation. I have a very wonderful guest, an in-house gentleman that is doing great in the area of his calling. And welcome so much, sir. Kindly introduce yourself to the viewers.
All right. My name is Njeru. I am a husband and I'm a father of 2 boys. I am a certified professional mediator. I work with I'm registered by the Mediation Accreditation Committee, and I work with the Kenya Judiciary. I am also a trained theologian.
Yes.
I enjoy the area of theology. More or less, these all areas work together. I'm also with my family, we do marriage and family counseling.
Yes.
We're in that area of marriage and family.
Yes.
Yes.
So today we are getting a whole package
Yes.
of solutions that arise in our day-to-day interactions, in family setups, and even we shall touch a bit about the professional space.
Yes.
Where you operate and function. I believe that especially to our listeners and viewers, we shall be talking about, our topic for the day is helping men to become great mediators and helping us to be able to become solutions in our generation, isn't it?
Yes, that.
The Bible reminds us that blessed are the peacemakers,
Yes.
in the book of Matthew, and says that they will be called the children of God.
Definitely.
So all of us want to be called children of God when we make peace with one to another, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And the area of peacemaking is so critical.
Yes.
Because daily life has got so many conflicts.
True.
From national conflicts to environmental conflicts to interpersonal to intrapersonal.
Yes.
Everybody is going through a sort of conflict.
Yes.
So you see, peacemaking is a life skill that everybody needs.
Yes.
From the time you are young, everybody needs to be taught how to make peace. Yes.
You know, you just hit a certain nail in my mind about when people have instances on the road and there's a traffic kind of incidents, and then the police officers come to ask you, have you agreed amongst yourself?
In fact, it is one picture out there that shows that sometimes we love so much, we enjoy conflict so much.
Yes.
That a thicker highway can be closed.
Yes, and stalled.
And back up traffic.
Yes.
Just because 2 people had a fender bender, just scratching only.
Yes.
All you need to do is to tell me, take care of your problem, I'll take care of mine. Is that okay? Or how much do you need and how much would you need?
Yes.
And just agree quickly.
Yes.
Because again, you're wasting time for the next 1 hour sitting there.
True.
You see?
Yes.
Again, this shows how we view conflict. We view conflict in terms of I must have my way.
You must win.
You must win.
Yes.
But that's not how conflict works. Conflict is natural in life. It's part of life.
Yes.
But we must always learn to see our interests in the matter at hand. We must always look at interest rather than positions.
Yes.
Positions is when you want what you want, how you want it.
Yes.
So the easiest way I can bring this out is to use this story.
Yes.
2 brothers were fighting over an orange.
Yes.
So they said, I must have half and you must have half.
50-50.
50-50.
Yes.
They said, okay, if that is the solution, let's go ahead and do it. So they cut the orange into two. So the first brother went ahead and removed the peel and threw away the peel and ate the flesh. The other one removed the peel, threw away the flesh, and used the peel for his cake to make an orange flavored cake.
Yes.
Now you see, that was their position.
Yes.
If they had discussed a little bit further and said, why do you want an orange?
Yes.
Why do you want, what is your interest in this orange?
Yes.
One would have said, I just need the peel for flavoring my cake.
Yes.
The other one would have said, I just need what?
The
juice.
Yes,
I just need
juice, yes.
the orange juice.
Yes.
In that way, one would have gotten the
100% of each.
Exactly. Everybody would have gotten better. And more importantly, at the end of it all, their relationship would have been better.
Yes.
When we get half-half, hard positions, our relationships are the ones that suffer.
Yes.
The whole idea of mediation is to maintain and restore relationships.
Yes.
The key here is relationships. In about 5 years, after you get that win you want,
yes,
in about 5 years, you will start missing that person and you recall those relationships you used to have and how wonderful it was.
Yes.
And then at that point, you'll have messed up so badly. Sometimes the relationship might not be recoverable. So at the end of it all, the whole idea of mediation is to keep an eye on relationships.
Yes.
These relationships are the resources that help us advance.
True.
In fact, relationships are, we call them the glue of life. They help us open doors here. You talk to somebody, you have a relationship with somebody, they give you a connection here and a connection there. Without these relationships, many times we get stuck. All right. So basically, that's what I keep telling people. Identify your interests rather than your positions.
Ideally, what Njeru, you're saying, yeah, is that conflicts are unavoidable.
Definitely.
At one point or the other, you'll feel aggrieved, or you'll be in the place of an aggressor, according to somebody else.
Definitely.
So you're saying everybody should always come to this table with an open mind, saying that I could be on the wrong.
Yes.
And you know, we recall what Jesus was saying when you go below, down there on Matthew 5, saying that if you have a matter between you and your brother, remember the story of the orange?
Yes.
Now again, you've brought again the brother.
Yes.
Jesus saying that if you have any issue with your brother, first leave your gift at the altar and go back and make peace with your brother.
Then come.
And then he continues to say down there in 25 that if you have any issue with your adversary, I believe he was trying to say, if you are in wrong, you're on the wrong, yeah? Please look out for that person first, because if you don't make peace with them, they will take you to the courts.
Definitely.
And when they take you to the courts, Jesus said that you'll be given a heavy penalty, okay, and a heavy fine. So bring us to speed now, because I believe in the space of Mediator, you have seen situations that people have been thrusted into uncomfortable conversations that they don't want to have on their own. Please tell us, how can we diffuse this? Because we don't want to get there.
The interesting thing about when Jesus talks about, uses the courtroom situation, the issues of justice are key through the whole Bible.
Yes.
When you keep reading the Bible, you keep discovering that God is a righteous God and he's a righteous judge. And he wants us to act righteously in everything we do. In other words, we must have justice as a primary issue in our lives.
Yes.
In fact, it goes on to say that his very throne, one of its foundation is justice, righteousness and justice.
Yes.
So justice issues are key. So he was seeing from the far ahead. He knew men are going to have problems. People are going to have conflict among themselves and even in their environment.
Yes.
All he wanted us to do is to focus. How do we bring justice into this matter? By the time it gets to where things have really broken down, it's an indictment of the parties concerned that they are unable to handle their relationships. Everybody has taken their own way, and from a spiritual perspective, it's an indictment that we have hardness of heart. Hardness of heart is what causes us to get to the point where you are willing to abandon everything and relationships. In fact, even your relationship with God, and just go your own way. We've gotten to that area. It should not ever get to that point of hardness of heart. That is why at all times we need to always have a conversation with ourselves.
Yes.
We say audit your life.
Yes.
At the end of the year, take some time out and audit your life. Am I still on track? Is my family still on track? Is my wife
That's a
still
good place to give yourself a holiday.
Definitely.
Good.
Wow. In fact, you see
Yes.
how important holidays are.
Yes.
Yes, you take a vacation, go and check, go and eat with your family and ask yourself very tough questions. They are necessary.
Yes.
But when we harden our heart, we have this narrow-mindedness, narrow view. We are unable to see any peripheral issues.
Yes.
We have dead spots all over our lives. We have this narrow view that this is what life is all about,
yes.
and this is how I'm going to live it, and this is how I want it. We have bad news. We have good news and bad news. The bad news is life is not about yourself.
True.
The good news is life is about God and your fellow man. In fact, you have to live in alignment with God and with your fellow man. So when you come to the space of justice, that is why we have courts of law.
Yes.
You are unable to agree with one another, then the courts apply the law. Unfortunately, the law is so blind
Yes.
that whatever issues you may have, they have to be framed in legal questions.
Yes.
You cannot bring in now your emotions into the matter. Your emotions now have no place. And fortunately, in the mediation space, your emotions, you bring all of them. Let's discuss all of them
Yes.
and sort them out. Because behind that emotion, there could be something else that is lacking there. Almost always when people bring conflicts at mediation, whatever it is they are presenting is not the real issue. So if you allow them to talk, sooner or later, in just about, I generally find in the area of mediation, about 40 minutes into our talks,
Yes.
when people have opened up, 40 minutes is enough to start discovering what is the real issue.
Yes.
And generally, the issue is not what is written in the legal papers, in the submissions, in whatever it is they were presenting to the judge.
Yes.
The real issue is something behind them, and it's generally relationships among these people here.
Yes.
Yes.
And also breakdown of communication.
And breakdown of communication, that is so major.
Yes.
And breakdown of communication, I think, because communication, basically, it's a life skill itself.
Yes, it's a life skill.
Yes.
I think people should be trained, basic training about life, about communication.
In fact, I go to the extent of saying that we should even not only train people on communication, we should train them on media appreciation. How does media function? Because again, media can inflame passions.
Okay.
How does social media function? All those clips you're seeing on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and all that. What are they?
Their agenda.
Created exactly? So you should be able to have that capacity.
And
But
filter.
you can see many times when you watch the TV at 7 p.m., we shut everything else in the house and we put on news. And all of a sudden, when you watch those news, the atmosphere in the house also changes to reflect the bad news that you've been given.
So ideally what you are saying,
Yes.
as much as the news are informative,
Yes,
there are people behind who drive a certain narrative.
exactly.
And that's what you're saying, even in every conflict, you must watch out for this kind of people who can drive a certain narrative
Yes.
for their own interest.
Yes,
Yeah, Mr. Njeru, there's something I wanted to throw into you.
yes,
Having practiced on being in that space of mediation as a registered mediator
Yes.
in our country, I would like to hear from you probably, because there's this buzz about every issue, every conflict, people want to go to the courts. So I want us to hear, why do people want that kind of mediation, the retributive, isn't it?
yes,
Vis-a-vis the restorative.
yes.
And also bring us to speed, what are the numbers saying about the cases,
Yes.
the litigations, the judgments being weighted, and the roll-up time, and what can we do differently?
Well, first of all, the law operates on certain philosophies. The whole idea of justice is either you do retributive justice or restorative justice. Restorative is where you restore what was wronged to the person who was wronged. And this requires that the person who wronged the other to go ahead and restore what they caused, what they brought wrong. For example, they need to say sorry or even pay or something like that. Retributive is where the court itself says you must do this. It puts you to jail and it forces you to pay a fine or so forth without you having to say, I am wrong. Everything, all of it is justice. But restorative is far better because relationships are restored.
Restored.
Now, when we come into the Kenya area, statistics from the judiciary as the Chief Justice released them in just the month of June. There are over 500,000 cases in the country right now. Of them, half of them, 250,000 or so, are more than 1 year old.
Okay.
They are what they are calling a case backlog. So we have a case backlog of about 250,000.
Yes.
Then all this information is available on the judiciary website.
Yes.
Then of these 250, just about 80,000, just about a third of them are more than 3 years old. They are more than 3 years old.
Yes.
They are still waiting, pending for over 3 years. So if you start working with those ones which are over 3 years old, by the time you finish them, and by the time you finish these ones which are 1 year old, we have not yet even started touching on the other 250,000 fresh cases that are being filed. Kenya is becoming a bit we love litigation.
So trigger happy to litigate.
Yes, everything.
Yes.
You have a succession matter, let's go to court.
Yes.
I don't agree what you broke here, what you gave me here, let's go to court.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Everything.
I have an issue with the family, the child is not getting school fees or whatever, let's go to court.
Yes.
We don't even need anybody to interpret. We are becoming and this
even
is
the child support.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is because basically we are becoming more and more informed, but we are also just liking the nuisance value of just going to court.
Yes.
It's just a nuisance value to some people.
Yes.
You're just taking a matter to court just to be a nuisance. There is nothing much with that. They can actually be handled even at the level of the local administration, even at the area of Nyumba Kumi. They can still be handled very easily. But sometimes we just want to make a nuisance value out of them. Yes. So basically meaning that if we are not able to take care of these challenges ourselves, we will find ourselves in court spaces for years and years. Just small matters that you can be able to sort them out. The church is also available to be able to
create
to bring resolution some of these.
I hope you're also not absolving the inefficiencies of areas of judiciary, for example, because some of the instances have been caused by delay of processes and procedures in the courts. Yeah, that's besides that. Yeah,
Yes.
What we are trying to say is that people should not jump in just to go and create litigations all over before trying to look for homemade based solution, isn't it?
Yes,
That's what you're saying, isn't
definitely,
it?
definitely. Yeah. And of course, the judiciary itself has agreed that there is a lack of resources. They are not adequate. They are trying to build that capacity, but as they are trying to build that, again, cases are still coming in droves
every day.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I think we are in an interesting time and moment, even as a country. I remember even the current situations right now in our political arena, that people have to sit down and negotiate, okay?
Yes.
And could be probably, if we touch on the political side, that is not necessarily mediation.
No.
Those are negotiations for power and for interests known to them, isn't it?
Yes.
But I think we had a perfect example when Kofi Annan came to our country,
In 2007.
when our country was in quagmire. That's an example of a mediation process?
That's a perfect example of a mediation. Kofi Annan came in as a mediator. And what he did, the first thing he gave conditions on which the talks were going to take place.
Yes.
He said, first of all, the violence must stop.
Yes.
Secondly, we must reduce on our talk. Number 3, he put a limit on how much you can share information with the media.
Yes.
So in other words, the information can only flow through his office.
Yes.
He took charge of the whole process and created an atmosphere in which the people who are sitting at the negotiation table can be able to operate freely, without manipulation, without feeling intimidated.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And as they did that, they were able now to diffuse the situation, bring down the situation, the passions, and allow the atmosphere to allow the atmosphere to get a political settlement.
Wow.
He did that very, very efficiently. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. I think it remains a very grand stand of a solution to our country, and we can draw from that, isn't it?
Definitely.
And I think that's what I wanted us to draw the parallel between that breakthrough that we got through Kofi Annan as a mediator of our country, and customize it to like our normal, like day-to-day living.
Definitely.
And in the space of men, as leaders in our
Yes.
community and our society,
Yes.
how can they tap into that wisdom? Because I believe mediators, when they come on the table, they do not have seated interest to a certain outcome. Now, we're talking to men and even women who are in leadership and areas of influence, and they ought to act at one place. And I think when we were off the camera, we were saying everyone should look for, everyone is a mediator by wiring. Yeah.
Yes.
So what would you like to speak about that component of somebody coming to the table with a neutral position?
Yes. First and foremost, in a family setup, of course, the man being the leader, everybody will look up to him to give guidance in that issue. As a leader, of course, you are also going to have to understand that you are going to set some of your interests aside. And the best way to look at it is to identify your own interests in the well-being of this family. For example, if a family collapses, you are going to get into trouble as a man.
Yes.
Because your daily needs might not easily be met.
Yes.
Your own peace of mind. You may have to be able to deal even with in-laws and so forth in a situation and something like that.
Yes.
So once you realize that it is in your interest to make sure that your family is at peace, you will definitely come back down a little bit. So it comes to a point where, as a husband and wife, or as a family, you are conflicting. You have to be the one who has to bring temperatures down.
Yes.
Because it is in your interest to make sure things are in order.
Yes.
Remember this, leaders are always pushed by their followers. Their followers are always pushing, they are always taking hardline positions and telling you, unless you do this, we are not following you.
Yes.
As a leader, you have to convince your people, guys, we are in this for the long term.
Yes.
We are going to live together, if it's in a marriage situation, until death do us part. We are not bringing in the issue of separation in this matter.
Yes.
We are not throwing away our children. We are going to be together in this for a long, long time.
Yes.
So if we are going to do this, we better agree quickly. Let's talk and agree.
Yes.
But if you are the kind of leader who takes hardline positions and jumps the gun, sooner or later you are going to take hardline position and you're going to tell the children, now children should never speak in this house.
Yes.
Keep quiet.
Yes.
I don't care how old you are.
I think I want to interrupt you, Njeru, and ask you, because now we may be digressing to the role of a leader.
Definitely.
But I wanted you to talk to us about the leader facilitating an environment, mediation between several parties within the family. There is one child who agitates for a certain thing, and the other one, and they're in conflict.
Yes.
So the father is coming as a mediator. Or the parent is coming as a mediator. Please talk to us about that.
You have to be very neutral. You have to empathize with them. Don't sympathize with most of the issues. Just empathize with them. Feel with them. Make sure you lay the rules very clearly. Do not use foul language. Do not, when you sit down to talk, don't get up and walk away.
Yes.
Always sit at the table. If you really don't want to continue, it's voluntary. Just say, I'm not interested in this anymore. Take a break. Sometimes you just take a break. People breathe out, go breathe some steam.
Yes.
Then we come back and continue.
Yes.
But you have to create an atmosphere where everybody now can contribute and feel that they have contributed. Everybody should feel they have a stake in this matter.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I remember when you mentioned about the retributive justice,
Restorative.
Retributive first.
Yes, yeah.
You said there's no room for emotions.
Yeah, definitely.
But you said in the restorative, there is that space of pouring out your emotions,
Definitely.
crying, just pouring your emotions. 'Cause we are emotional beings. Yeah?
Definitely.
And the retributive may not capture that, because that's a framework that is already fixed. Yeah.
Yes.
And I wanted us to hear, because you've had sessions and opportunities of where we've gone to do mediations, and as we are saying, we are customizing situations, not necessarily for the practice that you do, but also trying to see how do you handle situations where emotions run high.
Okay.
As a leader, wherever space, you are in a mediation and the emotions run high during that session.
One of the things we do, we create rules at the very beginning. Some of the rules we say are very simple, like there's no getting up and walking away.
Okay.
However hard it becomes, take a piece of paper and write what you really feel you really need to say. And speak one at a time, not everybody at the same time. There is not also going to be something we call power plays. Power plays are where somebody begins to abuse the other, trying to make themselves become more powerful than the other, and intimidate the other to submission. So you cannot allow that kind of situation. When passions get out of hand, it is time to take a break.
Okay.
Take a break, tell everybody take a break, separate them, take one party on the side, talk to them, hear their interest on your own, talk to the other party, then bring them together. Many times it's just that they want to be heard.
Yes.
It's just noise they are making. They just want to be heard. When you hear them, you'll be surprised when now you bring them together and you reaffirm the rules again. They are willing now to abide with them. Again, you must be firm. It's necessary that you be firm.
Yes.
It does not matter how it looks, but you need to be very clear that we cannot do certain things. If these rules are not followed, we have to stop this whole thing and we have to get another day or take time out and allow them to go and think now on themselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That is in the practice kind of domain, yeah?
Even in the family, it's necessary to do that sometimes.
To have those breathers and so that you melt down whatever is happening,
because you
cool down.
Yes,
the
because you will find later on somebody goes and thinks, sits down and thinks a little bit, and they actually identify that they jump the gun a little bit. They spoke out of context. They used wrong words, and they will come to you. Allow them that position for them to come to you and just talk to you nicely, and then you can call everybody back again
and restore them.
Again.
Wow,
the relationship is key in this point.
Let me ask you, though, a bit technical and professional. If in the space of certified mediator, once you agree on a certain kind of the way forward resolution, whatever you agree, is it binding by law? Is it bound by law, or what happens?
It's ordered by the judge. They have screened the case and identified that this case meets the requirements of mediation. Some of the cases that do are generally family, commercial, and marriage, and so forth. Criminal, not really. Some can, but many times criminal requires the law itself to handle it.
Yes.
Sometimes we have child issues that may not be able to go to mediation because they require the interpretation of the law, because we are dealing with somebody who cannot stand for themselves.
True.
So it needs somebody to make sure that their rights are taken care of.
Okay.
But when the matter is brought to mediation, whatever it is that comes out of that mediation, any agreement that is brought out, it's taken back to court, and the court adopts it. As long as everybody agreed to it and signed that they have agreed to this matter, the court adopts that agreement as a judgment of the court. All right.
Without any coercion or pressure. They appended their signature, they are willingly.
Exactly.
So when it lands to the desk of the judge,
now
he can pronounce it as a judgment?
He pronounces that as a judgment of the court, and it is adopted. And
legally, it's binding.
Yes. Wow. And one thing about mediation agreements when they come out is that it has been found out that generally agreements that come out of mediation are more satisfying. Okay. They are far, far more satisfying than judgments that are given by the court through the court process. When you agree among you and you tell the court this is what we've agreed and pronounces that agreement is going to last much longer.
Yes.
There is also going to be relationships that are going to last much better.
Yes.
There is going to be a general atmosphere of restoration.
Yes.
As opposed to when the court takes this whole process and judges this matter, almost always you're going to find that there's a breakdown of...
There's a vindication some sort, and those deep-seated hatred may continue.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis when we have a kind of a mediation.
Yes.
Wow, what a great wisdom coming from you at such a time while we are entering into zones of conflicts every day. Yeah?
Yes.
I think for the interest of time, we're going to take a small break.
All right.
But when we come back, we shall dig more and create even more awareness to our listeners and our viewers. Thank you so much. It's going to take a small break. Welcome back, viewers, to our conversation. We're having a very interesting technical and conversation that is also resonating with most of us, because we have seen and witnessed great strides of like growth in conflict resolution.
Yes.
And off the camera, you're telling me about how this mediation thing has been adopted in the developed countries, and it's more satisfying. Yeah, I remember that's where we stopped the show.
Yes.
And saying this retributive thing is not really it's not becoming very healthy to our community and our society. Yeah. So back to that conversation of mediations leave a kind of satisfying environment and aura to the aggressor and the aggrieved, whatever. Yeah. Please talk to us about that, because you have witnessed and experienced after mediation sessions, the parties involved probably they can mend their relationship.
Yes.
Unlike the other one. Yes.
All right. Alternative dispute resolution, they brought them up because they realized the normal court process can take a very long time, and it brings a lot of problems much later. It leaves the cases, the resolutions that come out of the court, the judgments that come out of the court are not properly satisfying. That is why now mediation is so important. Now, mediation is basically a mediator coming in between two parties and creating an atmosphere in which the two parties can talk with one another. The mediator does not bring a solution. The mediator simply allows them and guides the process.
Yes.
It is the parties that come up with a solution. They own the solution. That is why it is so satisfying.
They own the process.
They own that whole process.
Yes.
So when the judgment is pronounced that you have agreed on this, everybody walks away with a win-win situation.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now it is different from maybe I talk about arbitration.
Yes.
Because the alternative dispute resolution has two areas: mediation and arbitration.
Yeah, tell us that difference between an arbitrator
Yes.
and a mediator.
An arbitrator is one who also functions like a judge, but not in a court setup. It's cheaper, of course, than the normal the normal court process.
Yes.
Because all you do is bring your evidence to the arbitrator. The arbitrator looks at it and simply pronounces, this is where I see the problem is, and this is the solution, I think, and you must adopt this solution. You have no cause. You can repeal back to court, but it's not exactly like mediation. The easiest example I can give of that, of an arbitration,
Yes.
and from the Bible,
Yes,
from the Christian space, is that of King Solomon and the two women who were
Disputing
fighting
over
about a child.
Yes.
So when he heard the story and he used his wisdom, he made a decision. This child belongs to that woman. That was not a mediation. That was an arbitration, more or less like an.
But
arbitration.
he simulated a situation.
Yes.
To be able to see where the emotions lie.
Yes. So he understood clearly by just observing that the evidence, they presented the evidence, each one presented the evidence, and then because everybody he was saying one or the other, he had to create a story. He had to try to find out what more can I get from this story.
Yes.
So he was able to understand it very clearly. That is an arbitration. So mediation and arbitration are different.
Yes.
Mediation is basically the people who are driving the process. An arbitrator is one who was listening and giving a judgment.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah.
I think, thank you so much for that clarification. That's very important, because we don't want to leave our viewers confused whether we are talking about mediation or arbitration. But all in all, they are cousins, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
They are related, because they are trying to seek for like a fairness and some justice of some sort, isn't it?
Yes.
And probably there's something you mentioned I wanted you to clarify, is it that it's an option out? You can opt for a mediator, and does the court have that allocation that you can request to have a mediation?
You can actually request a judge. Can you allow us to mediate? Can you allow a mediator to come and talk to us and try to get a solution on this matter? The judge will allow it. After if they've screened and maybe the matter is back into court, you can still request that the court allows you to mediate. Because remember, there's a lot of backlog in the case,
Yes.
in the judiciary.
True.
So they will allow you, and whatever solution that comes out of it is valid.
Yes.
The other way, of course, if you have a problem early and you don't want to go through the court process, you can find a registered mediator like myself.
Yes.
You come to me and you say, we have a matter here, we would like you to help us on this matter, and we come up with a solution. I allow that process to continue, and a solution comes out of it. Whatever agreement we have, it is now, we can register it into a court of law. We take it to the registrar at the High Court,
Yes.
at the law courts,
Yes.
and they register that agreement between these two disputing parties. They agreed on this matter, and the court adopts that agreement as its judgment.
Okay.
So they didn't have to go through the process, but through affidavits, we are allowed by law to bring the agreements into the court system, and they adopt that as a judgment of the court.
Wow, awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
And you've brought a lot of things on the light, yeah? Which is a good thing in this conversation, because we're also speaking to people who would like to become mediators in the future. And we have, I have fellow friends who are in the space of the legal fraternity.
Yes.
And they are lawyers, and they're wondering, these guys, what are they talking about? Are they taking up our platform, you know? So let's clarify this. Lawyers can also act as mediators.
Definitely.
Mediators are not a threat to lawyers. Please clarify so that we don't discourage some kids who want to become lawyers, and they're wondering now, what is the essence of going to study law while mediators are doing everything?
So first and foremost, to be able to become a lawyer, there is a particular prescribed time for you to study,
Yes.
so that you become a learned friend.
Yes.
But for a mediator, it's required by law that you study 40 hours through a certified institution.
Yes.
Personally, I went through Mediation Training Institute of East Africa
Yes.
to become a certified professional mediator.
Yes.
Somebody would wonder, that's more or less like 2 weeks. Let me assure you one thing about mediation. Mediation is so natural. Everybody can do it.
Yes.
In fact, even lawyers can become mediators. All they just need to do is go through that simple training. Anybody can become a mediator. Why? Because mediation is what we do every day, even at home.
Yes.
In the matatu, you're in conflict with the conductor.
Yes.
Because of change.
Yes.
But somehow you come to an agreement, you talk nicely, and everything is sorted out.
Yes.
That's a mediation. Nobody told you it was mediation, but you're actually mediating.
Yes.
You can mediate between you and your parent,
Yes.
between you and your neighbor.
Yes.
Everything we do.
Yes.
So that is why I insist that mediation skills should also be taught as early as possible. As fathers and as parents, we should start teaching our children early on how to negotiate among themselves, to mediate among themselves. That is a life skill that is going to be required much later.
Okay.
Now, mediation is not a threat to
the law firm.
the legal fraternity.
Yes.
Because first of all, mediation is enshrined in the Constitution under the Civil Procedure Act of 2022.
Yes.
They are called mediation rules of 2022. Now, it allows the court to take this process through mediation, and because it is a cheaper way, cost effective, and there is a backlog of cases. So, and it's readily understood. It's readily accepted.
Yes.
In the developed world, they have accepted this as part of their legal work. In fact, law firms also have mediators within their law firms.
Wow.
They hire mediators.
Wow.
As part of their staff.
Yes.
All right. So the way we are going, mediation is simply going to become is going to continue being more and more accepted. You know, mediation is something that is so traditional even in African societies. We did this traditionally all the time.
Yes.
For example, if I use the Rwanda situation,
The genocide.
after the genocide,
Yes.
there were hundreds of thousands of people who were languishing in jails.
True.
And as long as these people are in jail, there is not going to be justice, and tempers are simply going to flare. There was going to be a possibility of another genocide coming up. So one way they did that, because they didn't have processes, they didn't have what they had, the United Nations Tribunal in Rwanda that was sitting at Arusha. They brought in what the traditional system, they call it the Gacaca court system in Rwanda.
Yes.
It's basically where you come before your peers, community elders, Nyumba Kumi people. You just come and say, you know what, I did this, I'm very wrong, I stole something from you, or I killed somebody from your family. I want to ask for your forgiveness, pardon me for having done that. And then the other party, the victim was aggrieved, would forgive them. And then they would say, because of this, let's not have any more problems. I absolve you of all the problems. You don't have to, you can either pay or not pay. You agree. And because of that, they reduced the backlog so much. It became so effective. This is something that was done traditionally, and it's something that we do. We can still use them again and again.
Yes,
it's available for us. It's just that we thought that it does not give justice.
Yes,
a long-lasting justice. But we have come to discover that the essence of restorative justice is where relationships are restored.
Yes.
Now, let me talk also about certain cases that certain extremes that we should avoid.
Yes.
So, for example, you find a situation where a child has been abused.
Yes.
Maybe then you come a family where the abuser comes from.
Yes.
They come and negotiate with the abused person, and they negotiate. Maybe they pay one or two things, maybe a cow or something. That does not work well, because remember, this person who has been abused, the victim, they're also going through a form of trauma. They'll be traumatized.
Yes.
A cow cannot, for the sake of community relationships, that compensation might not be enough. There may need to be something more. There may need to be actually be retribution itself.
Yes. Because
again, justice needs to be seen and needs to be
done and seen to be done.
Exactly.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
So there are certain issues in which some of these mediation doesn't really work. Criminal cases, sometimes they won't really, it's not the best place for it to work.
Yes.
Yeah. Because now blood has been shed, how can you pay back somebody for that? Unless, of course, the court allows that to happen. In certain instances, it can be allowed. But generally, you would want to leave some things for the court systems to work with.
Okay.
Let's deal with those ones in which family situations, relationships are at stake, and the well-being of the community can be increased. Yes.
And also, probably when you are saying about some high-level kind of grievances and such situations, I felt that probably the other advantage of mediation, and this is in the framework of our day-to-day living. It creates confidentiality and privacy.
Definitely.
Please talk to us about that.
First and foremost, when we come to mediation, we allow that space in which you can open up, yeah, and speak as openly as possible about whatever it is that is ailing you. Many times, some of these are not even issues that can be spoken out in court.
In the
court will not allow even you to speak some of these things, because how do they handle issues of maybe infidelity, maybe issues of I don't know, some issues that there is no law that can govern.
Clearly, yes.
Yes. So here you can be able to say this person did this to me, and I feel like this, you know.
Yes.
And you can actually tell them, they actually discuss, and you say, you did this to me, and once they see that they have done that thing that is wrong, they can now ask for forgiveness, and they restore their relationship, or have at least a modicum of civility among them. Yes. So it allows that confidentiality to come in. More than that, even as mediators, as you can see, I've not talked about any past cases I've handled, because confidentiality is key.
Yes.
We don't go telling people this couple. No, we don't.
True.
It's confidential. These things become confidential.
Without mentioning name, are you allowed to share with us one of the greatest breakthroughs you've had in your career?
Yes.
Or one of the greatest challenges you've had, without mentioning names and implying of a certain character?
Yes.
Please tell us those kind of things. They can help some people who are listening to be encouraged. Well,
about last year I handled a case that was all the way back from 2005.
Yes.
The case was simply a succession issue.
Yes.
It had dragged so much in court, in and out of court and going back again in court. And the challenge with that issue was that when the case was first brought into court, some of the participants who are there now were children. Now it is still in court, and they have grown up, and now they are participants.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
It is dragging in generations. We were able to open it up in about 4 hours. They talked, all of them, and they agreed honestly, there's no point of us continuing this. Let's sort this thing out completely. You know, one of the things about mediation is that when you bring people together, passions may increase. Again, remember I told you about the basic rules.
Yes.
Even if you feel like you agree, take a piece of paper and write all the issues, you will be given a chance to speak.
Emotions can flare.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when they flare too much, you can stop that, take a break, or even tell them, go home, we meet again in a week, or something like that.
Yes.
But the point of it all is this.
Yes.
Sometimes even families become so tired of this litigation. They're like, let's sort this thing out.
In fact, it's so tiring
Yes.
to attend those court cases, you know.
Yes.
And it can be draining.
Yes.
And sometimes people die without even having achieved justice.
Yes. In fact, I was reading from the newspaper the other day, the longest running trial in Kenya, all the way, the lawyer has handled it all the way from the 70s. He died the other day.
Yes.
Now the trial now goes back again to court, afresh. We start all over again.
Yes.
Because the one who was handling the matter has passed on. Now a new counsel takes over.
Yes.
I mean, these things now go into generations. Now they move into generations. They stop becoming the issues originally you had.
Imagine.
Now they become new issues.
Yes.
They become your family,
They keep on
abused my
mutating.
family. Yes.
And
Now,
creating a lot of enmity.
exactly. You took this, all of a sudden, nobody can tell where we started, where
Yes.
we ended.
Yes.
That was a major win for me. A 15-year case solved within a few hours.
Yes.
I enjoyed that.
Wow.
The hardest part I've had.
Yes, a challenge.
Yes. Not actually a challenge. Is trauma.
Trauma. Okay.
Traumatizing.
Okay.
As a young mediator, as I was starting out, I was doing a lot of marriage and family.
Yes.
And sometimes many marriages, when they break down, some of them are not even formal marriages. They are just people who are complaining. Through certain organizations, they just come. The organizations are trying to help young people who are in trouble. They have families to feed and they don't know what to do. They have no jobs. So they bring these young people together and they bring mediators to help them out.
Yes.
So at one particular point, we were handling one issue, it degenerated into a fight. A physical violence.
Physical fight.
And now there's a child involved. It became something so traumatizing, even for us mediators, that I took some time out just to process that. I took about almost 6 months before I could come to terms with how families can kill one another. They can come to the point
toxic.
of and destruction. Families can destroy themselves. In other words, this beautiful institution we call family can also become something that is so bad. Because people who are involved, nobody wants to identify their interests. They just want positions. They just want to pursue their agenda and so forth. Until now, it stops becoming about them. Now there are other factors involved. Spiritually, there are also other forces now coming in. Until now, it becomes so toxic. You get headaches. I have come to that point, and I came to understand very clearly that being a Christian also, it's important to protect yourself in prayer. Protect your mind also, because you can only be effective if you are also whole.
True.
So it's good also to, as you empathize also, ask the Lord to also help you.
True.
To identify some of the issues that are going on.
Some
of them you cannot see them with your eye because they are presenting an issue.
But it's beyond what they are saying.
It's beyond what they're saying.
As
I told you earlier.
They're unspoken.
In about 40 minutes when they are speaking, before long you suddenly discover, there is another woman in the scene. There is another child that is hidden somewhere. The in-laws are the real challenge. I mean, and it takes a bit of patience also, and also practice and learning. And that's why we insist also that if you're going to become a mediator, also go through mentorship. The law is very clear that to become a fully fledged mediator, you must be mentored by somebody who's already gone ahead of you. And so that you can be able to increase your capacity to discern some things. Because things are not as
black and white as
they are not. What they are presenting is not clear. Everybody has a hidden card.
Everybody is carrying a hidden card.
Exactly.
When they come to the table, they're hiding something.
Everybody is hiding something. Then when suddenly they come out, they bring them out, you'll be shocked. The other part, of course, I've seen is now the cultural aspect. In mediation now, sometimes we come across issues where culture comes into play. So you come across an issue like a succession issue, and you hear something like, my grandfather said this one should get this or the other. Now, when you come to the court system, the court has no law that identifies that. Unless it's an oral will. But at the same time, that oral will to these people is far binding because of traditions.
It's true.
If the old man said nobody can change that.
They are wary of the repercussions.
You've come across even professionals in land buying business. They will not touch lands where somebody said something. They say, just leave that one alone. We are not going to buy it. Because they understand the power of tradition saying whoever said something. So we come across those things. And sometimes we cannot do anything more than just allow them to agree among themselves and say we are going to go by that will that was spoken there. The law allows that you can contest that will.
Yeah, you can contest that will.
But at the same time, you see traditions become something else. People are afraid that if you contest that will, you're going to get into trouble as per custom and traditions.
Yes, it's true.
And there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I get it.
The most important thing you have to remember also that this, whatever agreement that comes of it must not contravene also the law.
Yes.
You must not bring up an agreement that is also going to exploit another, or especially those who have no capacity to enhance their own rights. Children, minors, or those who are under 18. You cannot bring an agreement that simply takes away their rights.
Okay. Does it create its own jurisprudence, the mediation thing? Yes. Can we refer to a certain matter that was handled by so-and-so mediator at this time? Yeah. Can it be used as a reference?
No, definitely not. First and foremost, because some of these records are not, we don't have a record of how we handle it. We only have a record of the settlement agreement that came out. Okay. This is what they agreed.
It's not like a judgment, like they would refer to a 1985 judgment.
What I could say about creating that issue of jurisprudence is if we become researchers and talk about how mediation has helped, and we write a lot of material about mediation and our experiences, that one could help in helping others to say, you see, according to some of these people who have gone ahead and they have talked about these things, we should consider these ideas. You know, so it behoves us to become also researchers as mediators and historians and biographers. We should also not just allow some of these things to disappear like that. We should put them in paper and put books and make sure that people educate themselves also.
There's something else I wanted to ask you. In the space of a Christian, as a believer, there's something you're called about faith-based mediation. Please bring us to speed and tell us what are the things that churches should be able to adapt from this kind of mediation or integrate in their own systems, because conflicts will continue arising. As long as we are human, conflict is unavoidable.
All right. First and foremost, mediation generally, according to the law, there is an area that the mediation in which we deal in accordance to the law. Then there is mediation in which we can bring in interested groups. Religious groups as some of the strongest areas of community, of bringing communities together. So we call that area faith-based mediation. And this faith-based mediation is based on their doctrines and teachings. Pertaining to Christianity, ours is based on what the Bible says. So our faith-based mediation is based on what does the Bible say on particular issues. Now, why do we need to encourage churches to get into this area of mediation? First and foremost, churches are community organizations. They help the community to strengthen the community, to grow the community, and so they can add value to the community. As opposed to a profit-making organization. The interest of the profit-making organization is for profit. For us, is to the well-being of the individual, community, and so forth. So churches can enter into that space to help, even within among themselves, within the church circles, within their own members. They allow people to come and they sort out their issues. Churches actually do that right now. You just call it counseling, pastoral counseling. It's part of church doctrine. But now when you bring in mediation, we bring in a further professional aspect in which whatever it is we agree on can now even be adopted legally. That is why we say even churches should actually have departments within themselves that run mediation. Mediation is best even within human resource departments. Because human resource departments are the ones which sort out issues among employees. So within that, and just as a department in itself, handling issues within church.
Because what I'm hearing from you, Njeru, is that we should become proactive.
Definitely.
It's not that we are looking for trouble, but we should be prepared for trouble, isn't it?
Definitely.
Because, you know, some people may say, you guys are so negative-minded and you're preparing for trouble. But what you're trying to say is that setting systems that can take care of situations that need mediations.
Definitely.
So that we don't play catch-up every time.
Exactly.
And, you know, I'm also trying to relate it with a family setup. People should have, or for example, I believe even in marriages, and probably I want to hear from you the wisdom on that, agreeing that in case we reach a certain place with my spouse, we have already settled on a certain person that can amicably help us resolve the matter, instead of rushing to that person when crises arise.
Now, one of the things we have to understand, remember we said earlier on, conflict is a daily reality. It is a fact of life.
Yes.
And let me add also about conflict, that conflicts do not come to bring trouble. They come actually to expose where the challenges may be, and to help us to sort out those challenges. So in other words, we are always getting ready to know that challenges will come.
Yes.
In fact, even the Bible tells us problems will come.
Yes.
But unto you whomsoever the offenses come through.
Yes.
In other words, it tells us, it allows us, it gives us the capacity to be able to sort out issues as they arise.
Yes.
But we also need to be trained in advance. Now, when it comes to couples, it's good for couples to, it's good for marriages and couples and families. If they are unable to sort out within themselves, there is the space among their in-laws. If that is not working, again, through the pastoral system, church-based system, and then the local administration, the chiefs and all that, we see a lot of that. The chiefs actually do a lot of work here.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of mediation we do a lot of it there. We volunteer a lot in the local administration with the chief. Most of these challenges are basically neighborhood.
Before we went to pastoral and the local chief, I wanted you to talk to the level of people within a certain setup. For example, the best couples and stuff like that. Definitely. I wanted you to talk in that space.
Yes. You see, we advocate so much for couples to go through counseling. And also to have somebody to walk them through the process of getting married. So having a best couple who is also watching over you, you're accountable to, they are speaking into your lives, they are helping you analyze some issues that you may not be seeing. Remember, when you are getting married, it's for the I assume for the first time. We're doing this for the first time. It's not that we have.
You don't have any experience of another marriage.
You just need somebody to help you. So we are working with some blind spots. We are working assuming that this idea of happily ever after is going to happen. But there are so many blind spots in the happily ever after. Nobody told you that you have to live with this person 24 hours a day for the rest of your life. Nobody told you that.
Without a sabbatical leave. Mr. Njeru, I want you to call it a wrap because of interest of time. Please take your 30 seconds and share with us your parting shot, because this show has been phenomenal and we can continue further. But because of interest of time, look at the camera and give us your parting shot for the conversation.
All right. First and foremost, this area of mediation is something that is so natural that all of us should be mediators within ourselves, with our fellow human beings, in our family setups, and even in our communities. This is something that we should all strive to be. Remember, the Bible tells us that we should be peacemakers at all times. There is a blessing with this thing, with peacemaking. I do encourage as many as can become mediators to just apply to schools which teach mediation. It's not a long thing. It's not even expensive. It's really affordable. And with that, also volunteer in your local area to become to help in conflict resolutions in your local area. It is necessary. Remember also, it is in your interest if your community is at peace, because after all, even you are going to be at peace.
True. Definitely. Wow. It's been great having you, Anthony Njeru, in this conversation. You brought a lot of wealth in this domain. We really appreciate you for your time and for creating that space to speak to our viewers. We're looking forward to meet you another time.
All right.
Continue impacting and also bringing solutions to our homes and even to our society. Thank you so much. It's been great having you around. My name is James Ireri. All that I would say is Hebrews 12:14. If possible, seek peace with all men. God bless you till next time.